On this episode of Creative Conversations with Generation Jones, we'll talk to artist and musician Jazz Ingram.
He'll tell us how he turned a rake into a guitar, and what it's like being a licensed rat fink artist. Hey there, I'm Maria.
And I'm Stephanie, and we're your hosts for Creative Conversations with Generation Jones,
A podcast where we interview real people of a certain age who have been living a life of creativity.
Some do it for a living, and some do it because it fills their soul. But they all have great stories and pearls of wisdom to share.
With us, so grab a cocktail or two and enjoy.
Yep. Today, we're chatting with one of Atlanta's multi-talented creatives, Jazz Ingram, a.k.a. Captain Lovehandles. Welcome, Jazz.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Sounds like you'd say something you'd say in an interview, you know.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. All right, dude, our first question, which we ask everybody, is what is your favorite cocktail?
My favorite cocktail is something that we didn't make today. My favorite cocktail you have to get at the drive-thru at Arby's. It's a Jamaica shake.
Oh, I love it. Do they still make those?
Yes, they do.
Love those.
That's right.
Yeah,
I was there recently and asked for one. They said, "Oh, our ice cream machine is down." I said, "Wait, am I in McDonald's?" You know. So anyway, we'll make smoothies instead because I love banana milkshakes and things like that.
And you don't drink, do you? No.
You know, I never learned to drink. I think I have a sense of what whiskey tastes like. I wouldn't know one from the other.
Well, if you want to learn, we'll be happy to teach you.
we will. And my grandfather used to say, whiskey makes you sick when you're well. Whiskey when you're sick makes you well.
Well, how about that?
I drink whiskey all the time, apparently. And he didn't, so. But you did make us a smoothie.
Well, there you go.
You
I
did.
certainly did. We made a smoothie with banana and berries and pineapple.
It was
And
delicious.
And honey and milk.
And so let's go ahead and try it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And let's do a little clinky clink.
Well, we added rum to ours just so our
We're clinking
listeners
our
know
plastic mugs.
We're keeping up with what we're supposed to be doing.
Our tiki mugs.
These are actually real
Okay.
ceramic, aren't they? We're good.
Yeah,
They're
we're
plaster or something.
They
We're
are
good.
ceramic tiki mugs. And that was good.
So, can you give us a little outline of like your creative endeavors, of how your life has gone creatively for you?
How my life has gone. I'm from
Yeah.
Noonan, Georgia, which
Right.
is the home of one of your previous guests, Glenn Rainey.
Right.
Glenn Rainey,
And Glenn's
yeah.
2 years older than I, but I remember him and would have seen him in some plays. And a quick story, I also performed Beauty and the Beast.
Really?
Oh.
You want to hear about that? Because when my daughter was very young, when I put her to bed, I'd pick her up and we'd dance around her room singing Beauty and the Beast. And then when she got married a few years ago, you have the daddy-daughter dance. And
Did
so,
you do Beauty and the Beast?
here's what happened was we were doing like this dance game on the Wii or whatever, I
Right.
said, we should do one of those dances from that game because we could learn that and it'd look really cool if it's choreographed. She said, "Oh, I already know what I'm doing." And I didn't know what it was. And then that summer, the live-action Beauty and the Beast movie came out, and my wife and I went. And it got to the part where they're dancing and the song's playing, and I realized what she was going to be doing.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
You ever been in a movie where you're crying and you're trying not to sniff and everything? I was crying too hard not to sniff. But anyway, I did manage to hold it pretty much together during the dance. So
Hashtag girl dad.
anyway,
Right,
so
right,
anyway, in
right.
Noonan, Georgia, I was, as a youngster, I think I was recognized as someone with some artistic talent because I was tapped for that a lot. There were a couple of other guys in my class who were super good. Brett Blevins was one who became a famous comic book artist and fine artist, and he's excellent. In the second grade one time, the teacher asked us which one of us was the best, or one of the kids, and he was very gracious and said we were the same, but we were not the same.
Oh.
And when I was in kindergarten and I would draw Batman and Robin, and one leg was behind the other like they were running, and the teacher seemed to think that was a little bit extraordinary. So anyway, there you go.
Your talent
But you went
showed
to
up.
college for art, did you
I certainly
not?
did. I
Yeah.
went to Georgia Southwestern College, which is now would be called Georgia Southwestern University something or other. Part of the university system then, but now it's got a bigger name, I think. And studied, you would have called it commercial art then, graphic design or whatever.
Right.
It's a Bachelor of Arts in art with a concentration in commercial art and a minor in marketing. So it was kind of a It was a graphic arts and commercial art degree.
It's always good to get some business classes in when you're a creative, you know.
Right.
And so when you graduated, you went to work for your brother, correct?
Right. My brother, David Hootie Ingram, had his own graphic design business, his own advertising
Does
company.
he still?
Not anymore. He went to work for one of our customers at one point, and I inherited the customers we had, and so I had my own art business for like 3 years, and then I went to work for a printing company that I've been with for quite a while.
And so working for a printing company has afforded you to be able to do whatever art you want to do, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Which is nice.
It is nice.
It's always nice to be able to have control over what art you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And the only thing that's hampering me in that right now is having said yes to maybe too many people, and I've got a list of things I've got to get done before I can get back to what I want to do, you know?
Yeah.
Because Stephanie, you know, you want to sculpt sometimes, and you want to paint sometimes, you want to draw sometimes. I like to do a lot of that stuff, so...
Yeah, as you said before, throw it on the wall and see what sticks.
That's right.
It's like, that's what I'm going to do today.
That's kind of what I do. Anyway, and I'll keep a sketchbook and do whatever silly thing that has occurred to me, and sometimes those turn into decent ideas for art. So.
And you brought with you 3 of your, are these called sketchbooks?
Yes, those are Moleskine sketchbooks.
Okay.
Moleskine, or however you're supposed to say it. It's Italian, I suppose.
So we're going to do a short video of these because these are amazing. We're going to have them page through it, and you can see. And you say sketchbook, and I think little pieces of things here and some cross outs. These are full 2-page. Amazing.
It's
images.
Really, well, I pencil them out and get them in a race and pencil in a race until I get it where I like. And they're really books of drawings rather than sketches, I suppose.
They're really gorgeous.
So
They're
good.
fantastic.
So good. We'll do a little video.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Okay. Well, the only thing that occurs to me is that I wanted to be a trash man or a trash collector because they got to ride on the outside of the truck. And you see them going down the road, and these guys would hop off the truck, dump the bucket, you know,
like,
hop
wow,
back on the
that's
side,
fun.
and away they went, you know. Oh, this is great, man. And, you know, in those days, we would ride in the back of pickup trucks. We'd ride on tops of cars or whatever, you know. It wasn't like it is now back in the early 60s, you know, mid 60s.
It wasn't dangerous then, right? We didn't have to wear seatbelts.
That's
back then.
right.
Yeah.
Riding in the back of a pickup truck wasn't dangerous like it is now.
Yeah.
So since you are an artist and a musician, let's start by asking you about your visual art.
Okay.
Tell us about your alter ego, Captain
Lovehandles.
How did that come about?
You know, back in, I'm going to say 94, 95, the comic book community was meeting most, like on AOL. AOL was the world's largest internet provider. And so you would meet people there. And so there was like these places on AOL you could go. And so there were a group of us artists who loved comic books who started an online art club called Cafe DNA. And we ended up having more people and people around the world. And we would make projects where we would contribute a project. And one time was draw yourself as a superhero and give yourself an alter ego. And so that was Captain Lovehandles.
Okay.
And that
It's funny. It's
right.
funny. Yeah.
And so then Captain Lovehandles has endured ever since then. And I'm gonna say that was 1996 or
Wow,
when
that's
that came
fantastic.
about.
I
So
love
it's
it.
been quite a
Yeah.
I
while.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, why love handles though? Because I know what love handles are. I have love handles.
Yeah, you
but
don't have love
You don't have love handles.
I won't prove to you that I do. I try not to overflow my belt, but sometimes I'm more successful than at other times. It was because of the, we say we're of a certain age, I was in my 30s or whatever, and that's when you start seeing those things.
Yeah, it is. Sadly. Nah.
Oh, there are plenty of folks who don't. I don't mean to disparage the
Not in
listener.
my 30s.
Nah, not in my 30s.
Now, but not in my
50s,
30s.
Okay,
I don't know.
because you're a mutant.
I'm a mutant, right?
So what would you describe your artistic style as, and how has it changed through the years?
It was throw it at the wall for a long time, and I still do some of that, but I have a particular style, and it's got to do with, when I first got this first sketchbook out of these 3, it's been quite a few years, but I had a friend online who would had a Moleskine sketchbook and a Pentel pocket brush. And it's a brush pen that you use cartridges in.
Right.
Even though now I've changed to where I take a syringe and refill it with a high quality ink, a real black ink. And so I thought that's cool. So I'll get one of those sketchbooks and a brush pen. And if we were to look through the first one, you'd see, okay, these first couple pages are kind of rudimentary. And then I started getting command of it, and I was able to get to the same level of precision that I was doing before with tiny pens, because I've always had this kind of chiseled shading that kind of looks like woodcut almost.
Yeah, it does. It does have a woodcut look to it, some of it, yeah.
And that's been my style. I mean, that would have been in the mid-'80s when I started developing that. But I took a tiny pen and drew both lines and filled in between wherever to make it look like it was a brush stroke because I was afraid to ink with a brush, right? So then when I got this, I started getting command of that, and I thought, okay, I can get a style that's even better because it's got the great line integrity that you would have with a pen. And yet it's a little more free-flowing and a little more natural-looking, And so for several years now, I've used that brush pen as my main tool, and black and white ink is what I really love to do. And sometimes I'll take those and color them in Photoshop or in Procreate. But still, when I had a art exhibit I had one a couple years ago in Athens at the Oconee County Library, and then one in Grant Park at Art House Grant Park, and they were all black and white pen ink. And that's what my style is.
And you prefer doing by hand than computer.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fun to do digital art, but that's not, if I were to show my art, I wouldn't show somebody my digital stuff, except to say, hey, look at this stupid thing I did.
So looking through your book, it sort of seems like graphic novel type images.
That could be. A lot of it is pop culture type of stuff and just weird things that occur to me. You'll find the Mexican wrestler El Santo all throughout those books because I've really kind of latched onto El Santo. I saw a picture of El Santo and his buddy Blue Demon. They made movies together. They're both dead now. Made movies together where they would fight vampire women. They'd fight Martians. They'd fight, Dracula.
So that was your inspiration for most of your thing.
The very first drawing in the very first sketchbook there will be El Santo and Blue Demon. And then other people who've inspired me along the way or that I just find funny.
What were some of the other inspirations that you have for? Well,
you're going to find a lot of pictures of Sarsaparilla, the singing gorilla, who is a great friend of mine. He's from Atlanta, and he's been around a good while.
What does he do?
Is that a person? He's a
gorilla.
It's a character.
It's a person who wears a blue gorilla suit and plays an upright bass.
So he exists IRL.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you should seek him out. And here's the story about that. I had become aware of him. He would play sometimes at Galactic Quest, like
Galactic
we would
Quest
too.
Is what?
It's a comic book store.
A comic book store.
Okay.
In Lawrenceville, and he would play there sometimes. And they knew him, and I would see pictures of him playing, and I thought, this guy looks like somebody I should know. And so my band, Possum Kingdom Ramblers, were practicing one time, and I was saying, do you guys know about this Sarsaparilla, the singing gorilla? They were, oh, yeah, man. But none of us had ever met him. So we play every year at Toylanta, which is a big toy convention in Atlanta. And now he plays there every year, and he entertains the crowd while they're standing in line to get tickets and things like that.
Does he play with a band, or does he play by himself and just kind of sits
in
with people?
Both.
And
He plays. He's come and played as our bass player a few times with his upright bass and his blue gorilla suit. He also plays in a band called When Ukuleles Attack, and he plays.
I've heard of them. Yes.
A ukulele bass.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, so he was setting up the night before Toylanta, and Bambi from Possum Kingdom Ramblers and I were walking through, and it was back in the back, and everybody was set up and gone back up to the front lobby. And he was back there setting up, and so we got to know him. We were all over him, taking pictures. Sarsaparilla, the singing gorilla.
And he was in his gorilla suit back there?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, wait a minute.
Wait. He had his gorilla suit there, though, because because he was setting up and he was playing, and Bambi says, "You got to come up to the lobby where everybody is and play some songs while we're up there hanging out." So he put on his gorilla suit and went up to the lobby of that hotel and started playing and got kicked out of the hotel.
Oh.
So that's a great story, that the night we met Sarsaparilla, Bambi Lynn got him kicked out of
Of
the hotel. So he came back the next day and did his thing, but so I'm sure he really thinks highly of us like that. There are a few other like pop culture type people. There's a guy, Dennis Ball, here in town also. Dennis Ball is a talking tennis ball
Okay.
who has a YouTube show.
It's a YouTube show.
The Dennis
yeah.
Ball Show. He's really awesome.
So is he a person who wears a tennis ball outfit?
No,
It's
he's
a
not.
cartoon.
He's a
It's
cartoon.
He has like
Yeah.
little animated tennis ball, but he also has, if you've seen his older videos, he's holding
It's like
a tennis
puppet.
ball puppet.
It's like a puppet, yeah.
Okay.
It's a puppet made out of a
Yeah.
tennis ball,
Okay.
and he's making it talk and as he interviews people and things like that. The band Future Folk is another big influence that you'll see in my book a lot, and it's got to be my favorite movie. There's
Future Folk.
the History of Future Folk is the name of the movie. You can watch it on Netflix, and it's so good. It's a science fiction, romantic comedy, musical, bluegrass movie, and it's super good. And so I got to kind of know those guys, and I've done some work with them and illustrated their official coloring book, which was a lot of fun
Oh,
too.
nice.
Tell us a little about Ratfink. You're an official Ratfink artist.
Yes, isn't that something?
Yes, it is something.
This
That's a big deal.
So in case somebody doesn't know who Ratfink is or what it is.
Right.
What is it?
Well, Ratfink was created by Ed Roth, Ed Big Daddy Roth.
Big
who was-
Daddy.
Big
Yeah.
Daddy.
He has left us, but he was known as a pinstriper, a designer of crazy cars. His cars were they were futuristic and things like that. And he was also a great cartoonist, and he invented some different characters, but Ratfink is his most popular. And so a couple of Christmases ago, I gave my brother-in-law and myself a Ratfink model kit because we're of a certain age. We love Ratfink.
Right.
Right? So this was great. So I did my Ratfink thing. I was checking out the Ratfink website and thought, they got cool stuff here. They got toys, they got T-shirts and stuff like that. And they have a tab on that. I don't know if I should give this away. A tab on the Ratfink website that says licensing, and you kind of you can email them and pitch yourself and say, "Hey, I'm a Ratfink fan. I'm a great artist here. Look at my stuff," and they'll approve you, or they want to become an officially licensed Ratfink artist. So I get to draw Ratfink and sell those drawings, and then give the Roth estate a portion of what I make from
That's
any
awesome.
That is
sell.
cool. Yeah.
That's really cool.
That is cool.
They're fun.
So let's pause and have a little sip of
Little
our
libation.
cocktail. Little libation. Let's do.
Sounds like a great idea.
One more little sip. And as we do that, we're going to ask Jazz, a.k.a.
Captain Lovehandles,
to play us out into our fake commercial with his ukulele.
All right, I couldn't be more pleased. Here's a song I wrote called Like a Possum Loves His Trash, and it's the first song we generally play at our concerts nowadays, and it goes something like this. I like bluegrass music and I like Taco Bell. I like playing gigs that pay in cash. But more than all these good things that I enjoy so well, I love you like Possum loves his trash. Who loves his trash? Who loves his trash? Who loves his trash? I love you like a possum loves his trash. Hey!
Want to sponsor this podcast? This is what your ad might sound like.
What you drinking?
A spiked tropical smoothie. It's like a trip to the islands, man.
Isn't your smoothie smooth enough already?
Not until I add rum to it.
Oh,
yeah.
Insert your sponsorship rum brand here.
It makes any drink rum smoother.
This has been a fake commercial. If you want to sponsor this podcast, please get in touch with us.
What are some of the professional art projects you've done that were like your favorites? Things that you've produced?
One of my favorite things I've done is a book I illustrated with Clay Harper, who's a local restaurateur and recording artist. And he was in a band back in the 80s called the Coolies. He was in a band called the Ottoman Empire, but he still records records. And we did a book based on his wife and her elementary school kids, where they kind of go on like a nature trail, and they learn about animals, they learn about the environment and stuff like that. And we did that with a publisher, and now it's gone where you find it in, I think all those were sold to Ollie's, and you can find them sometimes in Ollie's. And I told Clay about that, and he said, I knew that secondary market was going to kill our bottom line. And the bottom line is we got one royalty check for 2 cents, one royalty check for 8 cents. So we got a couple that were a few dollars more right when it started out, but I didn't expect it to be big. But we were at Possum Kingdom Ramblers practice one night, and I said, I didn't expect this to be a big seller, but I'm kind of surprised that nobody cared.
Wow.
And Ricky Zero from our band kind of put it in perspective. He said, I'm never surprised when nobody cares about what I do. And I was like, okay, well, but think about that, though. If you're not surprised, then if anybody cares, then it makes you're just happy about it, right?
Wow.
So anyway.
You've done some album covers?
Yes, I've done quite a few album covers. I've done many album covers. And some of my favorite ones were, I did some for Flat Duo Jets, and I did some for local bands I would do through DB Records or whatever else. The biggest selling one I ever did was the original album for Freak Nasty's Da Dip album. Do you know that song?
No.
Anyway, that's okay. That was quite a fiasco. But anyway, I had like a customer I was doing like half and half rap albums and British punk there for a while. So it was a lot of fun.
All right.
The Future Folk coloring book that we talked about, I loved a lot. And if you go to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, there is that's my art. That's the entryway mural there, which I designed it and drew it, and their team of crack artists went and put it on the wall.
Wow.
While I stayed in Atlanta.
You didn't even have to paint it. You just outline it.
I swung by there one time. I was coming back home from Indiana, and I swung in there, and I went in. I said, I'm Captain Lovehandles, and I did this mural here. And Buddy Finethy, who was like the main art guy for Mellow Mushroom, I said, Buddy told me I'd come by and sign it. He didn't really, but sometimes it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. So, so I said, you got a Sharpie? So this is yeah. So I went over and signed the mural really big, Captain Lovehandles. So
is it in a Mellow Mushroom restaurant?
It's in a restaurant entryway, right?
Okay.
And in Murfreesboro, they celebrate a lot of bluegrass and so it's got like one of their local heroes that's in there and stuff, and the Mellow Mushroom characters, and it's kind of goofy and bluegrassy, but it's also got flying saucers and stuff too. So
I love it.
Did you also do a beer can?
I did do a beer can for a Canadian company, Canadian brewery.
A Canadian.
Collective Arts.
Canadian? Don't they say Canadian?
Do they?
Canadian Collective Arts Brewing, and the thing is, I did it. They picked my design for this beer can for this one beer, and I was all excited about that. They paid me for it, and then there was all this like the BLM stuff was happening, on the Asian hate stuff was happening. About that time. So they would okay, we're going to do this special set. We're going to do this special set. So it got delayed, and then it was going to be back on the drawing board, and then it was released only in Sweden. So.
What?
So the name of that beer is Radio the Mothership, and so if you look up the hashtag Radio the Mothership, you'll see my beer can with an astronaut swinging on a rope swing.
Hashtag Sweden, right?
Right. So anyway,
we'll put a link to that in our show notes.
Yeah,
that's kind of fun though.
Yes, yeah.
And comic books too, I've enjoyed doing, and I did one of the alternate covers for the new edition of the Tiki Zombie comic that should be coming out.
Fun.
Before too much longer.
Tiki Zombie.
Tiki Zombie.
Ooh, something Stephanie would be interested
yes.
in.
I love the tiki.
Right. Oh, one more thing I'd bring up is that Uke Republic, which is a local. They're in Austell, Georgia, but they're one of the big ukulele stores in the country, right? And they have on their website on ukerepublic.com, they have the Captain Lovehandles signature line of products there, where we have some straps and stickers and whatever.
Nice.
And we're expanding that. So if anyway, there's like a Ratfink ukulele sticker. There's
Well, this
like,
is a perfect way
Segue.
to segue
Wow.
into talking about your music.
I was going to say
Okay.
the same thing. It's almost like we are thinking with
That's
one
amazing.
brain. So, Captain Lovehandles, tell us about your music.
Okay, I started playing harmonica when I was 13, and then that's what I did. And then when you're in college, if you're a guy, you start playing guitar.
Yes.
So I did that. Then in 2006, our whole family, big family, went to Hawaii on a trip for my wife's parents' 50th anniversary. So that was cool. So came back and then decided, hey, ukulele's cool because of Hawaii, right?
Oh, right.
And so
Yeah.
started playing ukulele, and that was before Uke Republic actually had a store. So I contacted them, and Mike from Uke Republic met me on the square in Marietta one evening, and he had a blanket spread out with ukuleles there to look at and stuff.
Wow.
And he had special ordered me mine. And so we hung out in the square in Marietta and played
Yeah,
some
wow.
ukuleles. Then there are other instruments that I play, and so we were having ukulele jams at the Hawaiian restaurant in town,
Huh.
Waikiki Hawaiian
Right,
Barbecue.
Yeah.
And so the fellow who owned that place, Paul, would stand behind the counter or sometimes come out with us and play a musical saw, which is a saw you play with a violin bow, right? And I thought, this is cool.
I was mesmerized when I saw you playing that saw. The first time I saw the Possum Kingdom Ramblers, I was like, he's playing a saw. This is amazing.
It's a lot of. Well, I went and bought one and went to a music store and said, "You got any used bows?" And they said, "Yeah, we got a box of them here. Any one you want for $20." So I grabbed a bow, went home and did the YouTube learn how to play musical saw
It's
thing,
so
and
cool. It's
started
so
playing.
cool.
So I played on a Home Depot saw for the first year.
So give us a list of the instruments that you play.
Okay, well, I'll say that on the Possum Kingdom Ramblers albums, I will play jaw harp and harmonica and ukulele, and musical saw and electric rake.
Wait,
And
an electric. What's an electric,
Electric
rake?
it's a rake. I have a friend, Bruce Ferrero, who is Ferrero Guitars. He's a guitar builder, among other things. And so I had this idea for a rake that you would play like a guitar. It's got two strings on it, and
Okay.
and he also makes his own pickups for these electric guitars he builds and things. So he wound a special pickup for it, put it on the rake. It's got volume knob on the thing and a plug, and it goes up there. I kind of made a drawing and said, "What do you think about this?" And the next day he was off work, and that afternoon he said, "I finished your rake. Come pick it up." So
What does that sound
so
like?
I've been playing. Oh, it's nasty, boy. We play it with a lot of distortion usually because there's a lot of noise anyway, and there was a lot of crackling and just buzzing and noise and stuff, and so I took it back to him see if he wanted to like shield some of it so it wouldn't make so much noise, and he's like, "It's a rake, man."
What do you expect? Come on.
So anyway, there's those, and then I play theremin some on those albums as well.
Theremin?
Theremins are cool too.
Which
Explain.
it's like you've seen it. It's got like an antenna, and you wave your arms around and play it.
No,
And it goes,
no.
It's a synthesizer you play by.
yeah.
Those things that sounds like a outer space thing.
Right. And so I've got a theremin, and the thing is, I've played, especially with the Ramblers, because we played on a bunch of albums together, and I played on a couple others, but I've probably played on at least a dozen. And there is somewhere I just play harmonica and saw. Somewhere there's an album I just played saw, an album where I only played harmonica, an album where I played rake and ukulele and saw and whatever. So
Tell us a little about the Possum Kingdom Ramblers.
Okay.
What kind of music they play, and some.
we like to
info.
call it nerdgrass.
Nerdgrass.
And we like to play weird places. Like we love playing. We've played I think 4 times as a halftime entertainment at the Atlanta Roller Derby, which is awesome.
I love that.
You know,
yeah.
my daughter, she was in junior roller derby.
Was she?
For a semester, yeah.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
This fellow Buddy Finity that I was talking about from Mellow Mushroom, who used to be with Mellow Mushroom, he decided he was going to put together a bluegrass band. And so he chose Ricky and Bambi from the band Radio Cult. And our friend Tim, who is a great musician, and he's played on a lot of things. He's moved back home to Minnesota now. So he had put them together as a band, and he told them, okay, you, and you're going to be a bluegrass band. and if you know Bambi Lynn from the Possum Kingdom Ramblers, she really had not ever been exposed to bluegrass. We like played some of it for her, like the Dillards, and she goes.
She's got a lot of energy.
Yeah,
a lot of
great.
energy.
Is she a singer? What is
yeah,
she?
she's a great
Okay.
singer
Yeah.
and a guitar player.
Okay.
And so she plays guitar and mandolin also in our band. And now she's a drummer too, and she plays bass as well.
And
So
what did she think when you first played this for her?
she said, "Okay, I get it. It's speed metal with a banjo." So, which it kind of is, I guess. So anyway, the reason it's Nerdgrass is we do cartoon theme songs. We've done like our first album had Land of the Lost theme song.
Oh
Yeah.
And Tim is a big time Godzilla toy collector, a Godzilla collector, and he does 8mm movies. He collects those and things. He loves monster movies. So we also have the Godzilla, the Blue Oyster Cult cover on that first album as well, which is pretty cool. In our first show, we had a fella come sit in with us who played Android M11 in one of the Godzilla movies. Godzilla versus King Ghidorah.
I don't know what that is.
He starred in Godzilla versus King
That's
Ghidorah
awesome.
as Android M11.
That's awesome.
And so he sat in with us and talked some about being in a Godzilla movie and everything. And we played some of the songs he's written, and he played our set with us. And so it was called Goji Grass. It was a Godzilla / bluegrass party at Galactic Quest Comics in Lawrenceville was our very first show.
Wow.
So that was a lot of fun.
Wow.
And now you play all over the place. And you write your own music too, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We've got 2 albums. We have an album that our first album was kind of half covers and half original stuff. And then we said, well, we'll make an album all original. So we released those originals again and added about another 5 to them. And now we've got a whole nother album's worth that if we can ever figure out a time to get to record, we've got it. We can put out another album because we got some other goofy stuff now.
Okay, one of the things you told us that you play is a jaw harp. And I just happen to have an old jaw harp that was my husband's grandfather's here. How would you use this with your band?
Well, with Possum Kingdom Ramblers, sometimes it's hard to follow the metronome, so we start with jaw harp.
With a jaw harp?
And that's kind of our beat we go to sometimes. So here's how it sounds.
That's wild.
What?
That's wild.
So cool, right?
It's a spring that you
Yes.
play with your mouth. It's kind of the same principle as Peter Frampton's talk box, where where the
Oh, yeah, the talk box.
guitar
Right.
feeds into his mouth, and then he makes the sound with his mouth.
Bernie liked the
Hey,
name.
did you
He liked it. He was like, what is that?
There's always a dog.
I like
here.
it.
Always a dog.
Always a dog
Yeah.
at my house.
You got any funny stories? Any funny band stories?
Funny
or one,
band?
Like what's the funniest weird
Something that
thing
happened
that
while
has
you guys were
happened?
playing
Yeah.
that was funny.
What did happen
there-
while we were playing?
I don't know.
You can't remember, can
Gosh,
you?
I don't know.
Because he was playing the rake. That's what I
right.
saw.
That's right. I mean, we played. Oh, here's a fun one. We went up to Rabun County, up in the mountains of North Georgia,
Okay.
and we were playing at the grand opening of like a community market up there. And so
Okay.
we were going to play first over at the public library right next to the stage, and they had a big stage set up with this field and everything. And then we were going to come and be like the second or third act of the day right there on the stage as well. So we got over to the library and played a set. They'd had a lock-in with kids all night long, and so
Yeah.
they were going to have these kids.
No.
We were going to
The
entertain
kids
the kids.
were all like,
Well, I don't know. We played like 8 o'clock, and the kids were all gone home and in bed. And so there was like one man and then this one girl who were trying to get work done in the library, and we were in there singing our songs and making noise
Oh.
and trying to get them engaged, and they were trying to act like we didn't exist and whatever. So then we go down to the stage, and it's almost, it's like, I don't know, 45 minutes or no, maybe an hour and a half before our set. And so we want to get on there and do our sound check and set all our stuff up, right? Well, the guy who was headlining, who wasn't going to come on till 8 or 9 at night anyway, he had his band up there, and they were setting up, and they were going kind of checking all their stuff. And so it's getting closer to our time, and they're playing, and they won't stop, And so we want to get, and so we really went without a sound check, but they were playing one of their songs over and over and over, and we were in this tent back behind the stage, and not too far into that, we had figured out their song and knew it pretty well.
Uh-oh.
So when we did get a sound check, our whole sound check was this guy's song that we played. Except we kind of did it. We kind of did it in a, we were mocking the guy because he was.
No.
I mean, like all his settings are going to be the same at 8:00. I don't know, but anyway, that was fun. But we had some friends that came up there, Steve and Sue, that came up there and sat in the field and were some of the few who watched us do our set. So we played 45 minutes and got paid about as well as we've ever gotten paid.
Oh, really? Well,
So-
that's okay, as long as you got paid, right?
Exactly.
For 45 minutes. I mean, it's a ton of driving up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your favorite places you like to play?
I used to love to play Avondale Town Cinema.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
we've played way more than anything else. We played at Galactic Quest Comics, and we played just recently at the Buford, Georgia location. And playing there at the roller derby. We played a wedding this year.
You played at the Puppetry Arts Center, too,
We played.
haven't you?
We were the first band they had to do Puppets and Pints, and we played there at the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta, and that was fun because we would play a set and then we'd go get to mess around go look at Big Bird and stuff like
Right.
that, which was cool. So that's a lot of fun. And we try to play anything weird. So I said we played a wedding. We also have played a funeral as well.
Oh,
And
you
it
played
was
a funeral?
a memorial service, and they wanted us to play
Gotta
our
have
song
music.
Space Cat. So we played Space Cat
What?
at
Oh,
a funeral. So.
Okay.
That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, this was our friend Joe the Salsa King Martin, who passed away, and he was a friend of everybody who nobody would come to see. He was always at our show, but we found out he was always also at everybody else's show. And how he did it, I don't know. And he would bring his homemade salsa and hand it to you and give you jars of it and everything.
Oh.
Okay.
And so there were at least a couple different tribute concerts after he passed. We had one
Interesting.
that we co-hosted up in Marietta at Hog and Ale Smokehouse up there. So that was fun.
What do you think is the biggest change in your creative endeavors that you've experienced as you've gotten older? What's the biggest change from when you were younger and now?
I don't, maybe I was looking for opportunities to put myself out there or something. You know how you would have people approach you to do work on spec when you were young, and sometimes you might consider it, and maybe somebody was smart enough to counsel you and tell you don't do work on spec, right? Because you can't, because you think you're going to get
exposure, right?
you're going to get your
It's
foot
good
in the door, and then
exposure.
you can raise your price. Well, you can
But you
never
don't
raise
get
your
paid,
price.
is that-
Right.
is it 'cause
I always
you
go,
don't get
you
paid?
can die of exposure.
Ooh.
Right.
It's like-
It's speculative work, thinking that you'll get more work, which you might get more work, but you'll never get more money. So anyway, or getting it out there and trying to be seen, or trying to be in this place or that. And I really, I'm more trying to please myself now. I think
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that, yeah.
In fact, Stephanie and I, we met at a music show years ago, and then we, right after that, became fans of each other's art. And so I can appreciate that she does dabble here and there on different things, kind of the way I like to do as well.
So what advice would you give someone who wants to go into art?
Oh my goodness! Well, then try to make sure you decide if you want to be an artist with a big A or a little a. That's what our
Define for us, please define.
I think the little A is what they would tell us in the art school, because when I went to Georgia Southwestern and studied art, they were all fine artists who were teaching us, and they kind of didn't think much of people who were doing commercial art, I think, and so they would say, "Oh, that's art with a little a," But
Okay.
but if you want to be an artist and make money and work for this branding company or a big outfit, if you're going to do that, then do it. But then, if what you want to do is move up the ladder, then be focused on moving up the ladder. But I don't know that you'll be that fulfilled with that.
Yeah.
If you want to make art, just know you'll be broke or find some way that you can support
Which is why
yourself.
a lot of people in the arts have a day job like you do.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
You can do whatever you want creatively.
I have a lot of art friends. Instagram is where I found so many amazing artists. And some of those guys have, how a person gets that many followers, thousands and thousands, 100,000 followers.
They
Is that-
pay money
Yes.
for it. Yeah,
Okay.
they pay
Yeah.
money for it.
Yeah. And
Okay.
hashtags, lots of hashtags.
Right.
But they do pay. They pay.
Yeah.
There's people that can get them shot out that you pay them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not you and me.
No,
So,
nah. Okay, we got one last question
Okay.
for you before we do our game show.
oh boy.
Very. Yes.
Okay, what would you consider like probably your favorite thing to do if you had 1 week totally to yourself? Nobody's going to bother you, and you can do anything. What would you do?
Okay. Men can do this.
Uh-oh.
Sit and think about nothing at all. I would say, I think
don't
that
understand.
first day I would sit and cogitate, and I can do that. I don't know if you're like this, but when my wife and I were dating, I think we'd be driving along and I'd start laughing to myself or whatever. What are you thinking about? And either I was thinking about nothing at all, which she didn't buy, or I was thinking about something so ridiculous that I didn't want to divulge what it was. Being of a certain age, there's a meme where it has these people just going crazy over something, and it says people over 50 watching the bird feeder. So, and I was like, I feel attacked with that meme right there because I do like sitting, watching a bird feeder. It's a lot of fun.
There's something to say about that.
I would have something to do with music, and I'd have something to do with art, I'm sure. And I may try to watch one of the Avengers movies I haven't seen yet. But I would do some drawing, and I would maybe try to write a song. Some songs I can write. Some songs I've written in a hurry or quickly, and there are some that have taken years to write.
What
Now, I
instrument?
don't write many.
What instrument do you write on?
I write on ukulele almost exclusively.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, Jazz,
Yes, ma'am.
our interview
Oh.
has ended, and it's time to play
Da, 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 da.
Name That Decade.
Oh my goodness.
So we're going to give you a phrase or words, and it's from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and we're going to leave it at that. Okay?
And it will.
And
Each
then-
decade will only appear one time.
It will only
right?
appear one time per decade. And then the last one we're going to give you 3 of them. And then the last one will be a modern phrase, and see if you know what it is.
Okay.
We don't know
All
any of
right.
those generally, but
There aren't too
that's
many
all right.
of these.
There's not
but,
too many.
yeah.
Okay. A passion pit.
A passion pit.
Yes.
What decade?
Yes.
A decade.
Okay.
Do you know what it is?
I do not know what it is. A passion
He has an idea.
pit. Maybe it's like a rave from the 90s.
No. It's a drive-in movie from the 60s.
Oh,
The Passion Pit.
Did you do that? Because I did. We had a drive-in theater in Noonan.
Oh.
There was some friends
The
whose neighbor.
60s?
Yeah.
We were kids in the little kids. I was a little kid in the 60s.
Right.
You were too.
Was that 60s? Because
60s, yeah.
Okay. Well, in the 70s we would
70s maybe.
we would
Yeah,
sneak
not necessarily.
we would sneak back through the woods and sit on the back and watch the lips move on the drive-in theater. So. I think Andy Warhol's Dracula was on one night. We were standing back in the woods. So.
Wow. Okay, so your next word is dweeb. What
Dweeb.
decade is dweeb?
Okay.
You know that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 80s on that
Ding ding ding
because
ding.
Yep.
I can see one of the mean yuppie kids on the preppy
That's
kids
right.
on
That's right.
on 16 Candles calling somebody that. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
Okay. You got served.
you got served.
What decade?
Okay. I don't think that's as early as the 70s, so I'm going to go with the I will go 90s on that one then.
It's 90s to 2000s. Yeah, you got
Okay.
served.
Good job.
Yeah.
It could have been
Good job.
2000.
2000, closer to 2000s.
So do we have one
All right,
more?
so one more.
Oh.
This is the phrase from today,
This is a taste from today, and you need to tell me what this means.
if you
Okay.
know.
If you know, the word is poggers or pog.
Poggers or Pog,
Yeah.
also called bottle caps. They were like these little discs.
Yes, they were.
Cardboard disc, and you would like flip them
Well,
or
that's
something.
what we know them as, but today
and
they
steal
use
them
it-
from your from your friends.
Today it's different.
Today, it means an expression of excitement or amazement or delight.
Pog is my delight. Yeah, I'm having delight. I'm pogging. They were
Pogging.
right.
I never heard of it. But
They were
Me
like
neither.
They were like the marbles of the '90s, I guess, right? Because you'd win them from your friends. Okay, I'm pogging. I have pog in abundance.
Pog. I don't know. Poggers.
Okay,
Okay.
I have not heard
Well,
that.
Jess, thank you so much for being here with us. We have really enjoyed talking to you.
We have indeed. Can you tell our audience where we can find your art?
Okay, since I came up with Captain Lovehandles, I've been a bit of a whore on the internet with my art, and so anywhere that you can Google Captain Lovehandles, but on Instagram as Captain Lovehandles is where I would post the most art, and some on Facebook, Captain Lovehandles page as well. I try not to do all the same stuff at every place, you know. And there's also CaptainLovehandles.com, which is a blog where I just post the art I've done that I like particularly. So that would be a place to see kind of a portfolio there.
And if you take a look at our YouTube channel, we have a short video of
Captain
Lovehandles paging through his book of drawings, which is amazing and astounding, and you will be amazed.
Yes.
On my YouTube channel, also Captain Lovehandles, there is a sketchbook tour of the first two books where I went all the way through them as well. So
Fantastic.
yours would be a
Cool.
good teaser for that. if you want.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
There's some crazy, weird music stuff going on there too, and some art. So
Cool. We'll put all that in our show notes and on your YouTube and our YouTube.
there you go.
Cool beans.
So we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Make a drink and join us.
And follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok.
The links will be in our show note.
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next podcast.
And as Aunt Millie always said, shoulders back, knockers up.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.